Good Friday afternoon, everybody, and thanks for being with us here on KXAN Live. I'm Will Dupree, coming to you from the KXAN Live studio. As many of you know out there, early voting is underway for the 2022 midterm elections, and we, of course, are your local election headquarters for that. You can check out a lot of resources available on our website. However, we wanted to follow up today on something that Austin voters approved 2 years ago. You'll remember that in 2020, voters approved a tax rate increase by a pretty big margin there to fund a massive public transit plan called Project Connect. The revenue from that would fund the city's first light rail system, new bus routes, creating a downtown tunnel system, and providing $300 million for anti-displacement efforts. So where does all the work from that project stand now? That is the focus of a series of investigative stories that began airing this week here on KXAN. And we wanted to continue the conversation about that effort here now with investigative reporter Avery Travis and KXAN's transportation reporter Kelsey Thompson. Avery and Kelsey, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate you making time today on this Friday to talk about this. Avery, we mentioned there the specs of what this project was pitched as including all these different things. And I'm wanting to get a reminder about how much that was projected to cost and what changes those figures have done in the last few months.
Yeah, it's a good reminder for people that this was set to cost over $7 billion, but that was for all of the pieces of the puzzle. That's, the addition of new rapid bus routes. That was the light rail that we're going to talk more about here in just a second. That was also a new commuter train and an underground kind of subway system. But it is important to remember, too, that we've been following, Kelsey in particular, our transportation reporter, has been following the increases to those costs and why. That $7 billion amount was really based on early design. So, only a portion of that project was designed. I think you'll hear it in our investigation, but one of the experts says most of the time it's just a line on the map. And the more we learn about what the project really is going to tangibly look like, those costs tend to increase, and that's what we've seen.
Kelsey, remind us too what the new figure for some of these projects under Project Connect should cost at this point.
Yeah, well, back in the spring, we reported that the light rail components of Project Connect were expected to nearly double to more than $10 billion. But then we got a check-in this summer, which really spurred the investigation we're talking about now, that they were going to be putting the light rail developments on pause to review the program because costs were expected to increase even more. And some of the reasons behind that are things like real estate and right-of-way acquisition, increased construction costs and supply chain issues, as well as different design scope components of this project, things like longer tunnels, a bridge that could go over the lake, and some of the other key design features.
And Avery, is your investigation that aired last night in this first bit of the series, you talked to the head of the Austin Transit Partnership. For people who may not be familiar with that organization, remind us what it does and why it was created.
Right. We really wanted to sit down with the Austin Transit Partnership, or ATP, because they're overseeing that light rail piece. And I know that is the piece of Project Connect that has gotten a lot of buzz, a lot of attention. This was a joint effort through the City of Austin, Cap Metro, who operates our current transit system, and this new organization. It's really a government corporation called ATP. It was created by that 2020 vote. For the last few years, they've been working in conjunction with Cap Metro on all of this that we're talking about. But this year is really the first year that the Austin Transit Partnership has operated independently. They started to separate themselves, especially when it comes to this light rail piece. The budget they passed back in September that we've reported on, it was the first budget that ATP passed as an independent agency, really. So we wanted to sit down with the head of this agency to talk to them about this, to get the latest update. Now, it's been a few months since we learned that costs were going to increase, that the scope of the project was going to change, and we wanted to hear, where does it stand?
One of the pieces of that conversation focused on the timeline for everything, because people are wondering, when is work going to really begin on some of the bigger portions of Project Connect? What did he have to say?
Yeah, we've been hearing from people who say, we just want to see this get built. But they're really coming from a place of saying, we want to build this right, especially with costs being so in flux. all over the place in other industries as well, but primarily the construction industry. He said that the light rail portion of the project was always intended to be a 9 to 11 year project. You've probably seen the timeline that ATP and Cap Metro have put out. What he did say, though, that was of interest is that what they're looking at now is staying within that 9 to 11 year time frame, but it could just be a first investment. That could be a piece of that map you've seen. It could be one light rail line, or it could be the whole vision. But what they're trying to do right now and what they'll be doing over the next 6 months is really trying to figure out what that first investment could be, what's feasible with the funds that we have and the time frame that we have to get done in that 9 to 11 years.
When people are hearing about a change in the cost estimate for this project, they may start wondering, will that indeed lead to another tax rate increase? And they address that in that interview that you talked with them about Austin Transit Partnership.
Yeah, they're very clear. They are not going to go back to voters at this point in time to ask for another tax hike. That's why we're having this conversation, is to see what are some of the design elements that may have to change, or that phasing and that timeline that may have to change I think Greg said, the executive director, live within their means. That's their goal right now.
And I do want to play a portion of your investigation, Avery, that people can check out in full over on KXAN.com, but this is really focusing on what the design under considerations are for this light rail system. Let's take a look at that, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
The Austin Transit Partnership says it's now considering standard designs at stops citywide instead of custom looks, or how to cross Lady Bird Lake, and how much track to build at surface level. Generally, it's the cheapest and most efficient option to build, though experts say it can conflict with existing traffic. Elevated trains can help, but may impact nearby buildings and development, and increase the cost. Project Connect's original plan had trains going underground, at least for a stretch downtown, but that option's also costly. Each mile, experts say, can cost up to 10 times more than building at surface level.
When you look at initially estimating the cost for a system like this, you're dealing with sometimes nothing more than a line on the map.
That's University of Texas rail expert Tyler Dick. He says it's a common dilemma with such projects, and why so many roll out in phases.
What's the minimum investment required to get the system operating, to sort of test the market to see if people are going to ride this, and then expand it afterwards?
It's an approach used in Dallas, where Dick worked for years as a consultant on the DART system. Over 3 decades, 4 light rail lines were built, spanning 93 miles, with some of the highest rail ridership in the country, and only now planning to add an underground line. Compare that to Denver, which has 8 light rail lines. Dick says building along existing freight train lines helped there. And most recently, Phoenix opted to build 1 long light rail line stretching 28 miles, with some extensions, and already plans for more.
There again is a piece of Avery Travis's investigative story that aired last night here on KXAN. Back here with Kelsey Thompson, Avery Travis. Avery, the timeline we're looking at here has been delayed just a little bit because we're in this kind of holding pattern in a sense. What are they looking at specifically at this time?
Yeah, they really are laying out a plan over the next 6 months for how to get designers' input, financial experts' input, engineers' input, and really you all, the community. They want to hear from you to know, what are non-negotiables. So that's what they're working on right now, is really a timeline for the timeline, a plan for the plan. They say that that's important because they want to get this right the first time. They don't want to come to the end of this project and have totally changed our city and be stuck with something that they really didn't intend for. We heard from a lot of people who say there are right-of-way issues that they could start tackling, there are things they could start doing. But we also heard from the chair of the Community Advisory Committee on this project, who says that there's actually a lot of positives, that they're taking this step back or slowing the pace of the project because they can get more people's input. He says that's where equity really comes in, is what piece of the project moves first. And we also want to note there's a lot of pieces of Project Connect outside of the light rail, and a lot of that is, for lack of using a pun, chugging along. I mean, a lot of the parts of the project are already underway.
Yeah, and I think that's important to point out, is that there is quite a bit moving along. Kelsey, if you could kind of give us an update about what are some of the things that people may not know about specifically that are already underway.
Yeah, that's right, Avery. Well, there's several Metro Rapid lines that are currently in the works, and we know that there have been nearly 10 stops and bus shelters added to that system in the last 2 years since Project Connect really rolled out. We know one one of the biggest features of this in terms of the non-light rail components is the McAllis Station up near Q2 Stadium, which we know has been in wide use, especially in the last several weeks heading into the conference finals, but that's going to be finished in 2023. But in addition to that, we've also talked about the back end of things when it comes to hiring and ramping up employment opportunities for all of these different programs in the works. Just earlier this month, CapMetro and Workforce Solutions Capital Area, they agreed to a partnership where that's going to bring on more than 1,000 jobs in various realms, whether it's Metro Rapid, light rail, facilities, maintenance jobs and employment opportunities, all of this to help gear up and prepare for this expanded effort of the program, especially knowing, like we've talked about already, some of the different construction cost increases and employment struggles that people across the transportation industry have seen in recent years.
And this is a bit of a breakdown, right, Kelsey, of what they're envisioning, these new hires, kind of what roles they'll fill as those jobs are filled.
Yeah, exactly, Will. And you can see right in smack dab in the center, 500 plus new light rail jobs. We know that this is one of the biggest pieces of the pie in terms of new development for the program, but we do know we already have regional rail in the work, Metro Bus, Metro Access, and Pickup, but they are expanding all of this as part of this increased program and effort.
You've reported extensively about that, but additionally, Kelsey, I wanted to bring up that you have done some reporting about what this upcoming election will do to CapMetro's service area and the impact that could eventually have on Project Connect. What is that update?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a question mark when it comes to the Green Line, which is very far out in the Project Connect program, but it is a component that could be impacted by this current election. Out in Manor, the city and its voters will consider whether or not to stay with CapMetro or to leave the Transit Authority and its services. Now, if the majority of voters out in Manor do opt to leave the Transit Authority, that brings a lot of questions into play of what that new Green Line would look like, because it wouldn't include Manor, and subsequently Elgin being past Manor, that would throw that a little bit into disarray. So that's one of those things that CapMetro officials have said time will tell through this election process how they might need to relook and reevaluate that specific line moving forward.
And so many moving pieces to this, for lack of a better word, and you'll see that Manor, again, is on the right side of your screen there on what would be the Green Line as this system is built out a little bit. Avery, back to you. We wanted to bring in that, your story that aired last night was the first piece of this. There is another story that will air this evening from your colleague, Mike Rush. What will he be focusing on with his piece?
Yeah, we've talked about how, Project Connect is more than just the light rail, and it's really more than those rapid bus routes, and it's more than that green commuter line. There's a huge piece of the puzzle here, and that's the $300 million in anti-displacement money. That's money that's been set aside to really help families, homes, business owners who may be impacted by the project as it develops. We know this project is going to increase the value of the areas that it serves. And so the City of Austin has tried to be forward-thinking about how they're going to make sure that all the good that this project could bring, doesn't totally displace some people who, for one, our investigator Mike Rush talked to a family who's been living in the same home for nearly 50 years. Talk about, really invested in a community, and they're worried about how being so close to the light rail line will impact their ability to stay there. Now, we asked ATP about this, and they are telling us that they've gotten a lot of positive feedback from rail and transit experts across the country, that they've been told it's really the first of its kind and that they're really pioneering with this anti-displacement money. But we've also heard some critiques or questions of, is it even enough? Is it enough for our community? So Mike is really going to explore that tonight. He's also going to look into something that's really important when we talk about this anti-displacement money is state law prevents this money from being used to help people with ballooning property taxes. And we know that's a big driver in whether someone can stay and live in their home. So he's looking at how city officials are trying to help people in other ways. Since they are limited in that way, how are they going to invest? We know that some of this money went to 14 nonprofits who are really getting creative in how they're going to help people from being displaced. And so Mike's going to really dive into how this money is being used and who is going to be helped by it. And that's tonight on KXAN News at 10.
All right, so everyone who can tune in tonight, It'll be there at 10 o'clock, but also over on KXAN.com, you can check out Mike's story, the second part of this investigative series. The headline there, How Will Project Connect's $300 million help people stay near new light rail? And as Avery mentioned, if you scroll down into the story, it has a breakdown of the organizations that will receive some of that money that was diverted for these specific purposes, and you can again find that on KXAN.com. Before I let both of you go, Avery Travis and Kelsey Thompson, thank you both for being here, and we appreciate it. Is there anything that either one of you wanted to address that we hadn't spoken about already, something that we didn't address already?
I just want to say, you know, this is a big project. It's a long haul. Our transportation reporter, Kelsey, here will be following every step of the way, and we will continue to check in with these agencies, whether that's the city on the anti-displacement funding or whether that's ATP and Cat Metro on what this is going to look like for people. So if you all have questions, send them to Kelsey, myself, or Investigator Mike Rush. We'd be happy to take those questions and look into them for you.
Yeah, and definitely stick with our coverage in the next several months. I know both Avery and Mike's work talks about spring 2023 is the big time frame in terms of revisiting and getting a better sense of how the light rail will be moving into the future. So we'll be here monitoring those meetings and keeping folks up to date for the coming months.
The best team around. All right, Avery Travis and Kelsey Thompson, thank you both for being here this afternoon. We do appreciate it, and we will see you again soon.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Will.
All right, everybody, you can read more about all the reporting that Avery, Kelsey, Mike, all of them have done on our website right now at KXAN.com and on the KXAN News mobile app that you can download onto your smartphone if you haven't done so already. Thank you all again for watching here on this Friday afternoon. We hope that you enjoy your weekend and the nice weather that we expect. We'll see you back here sometime soon. Stay safe and healthy out there, everybody. Take care.